Welcome to the Waffle Podcast, where we speak to senior leaders and business owners in the US staffing space who have achieved significant scale. Today, I'm joined on the Waffle by Agni Ghosh. Uggs is the managing director of Stott & May in the US. We discuss his strategy around building a high-performance culture, how easy it is to attract high-caliber talent in New York, and how revenue per head beats headcount. Hope you enjoy. Here he is, the King of New York.
How are we?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
I like the you got the branded gear on, mate. Looks like you're ready for business.
I thought I'd get it on just for you.
Yeah, mate. Looks good. Looks good. How's tricks? How's life? What's New York saying?
All is good. Friday, so I can't complain.
Are you guys wrapping up today?
We've still got a fair few in, to be fair.
Have you?
But majority of people have started to fly back.
Have they?
They will still be on till Wednesday.
Is it sort of like gets to this time of year, and obviously if you've got a business where there's a lot of people from the UK, is it a bit of an exodus? Like after
normally there is, to be
2
fair,
weeks or week and a half or whatever, everyone starts taking extended trips. So you've got no one in the office. Is that what it is?
Normally, to be fair, like last year was like that, but this year we've actually got we've got quite a few expats staying. I'm here for Christmas this year, so we'll be.
You've been in the UK enough this year, haven't you? Every time I hear from you, you're at a wedding. You're at a wedding once a quarter.
Wedding veteran this year, but
I suppose you're getting to that age, aren't you?
How about yourself?
What in terms of wrapping up or working today. I'm still going to be I've got some stuff to do on Monday as well, and then that'll pretty much be it. But I've got some interviews on Tuesday, and I've got bits and pieces, people to speak to and whatever. And it's one of them, isn't it, where probably I'm not going to tell Claire, but it's obviously a time to be able, when people aren't around and there's nothing happening, you can actually work on a lot of stuff, can't you? So part of me wants to be like, all right, I can do this planning and I can do this and I can do that, which is essentially operational and whatnot. But I'm gonna have to do it on the sly when Claire's not around, or so she doesn't shout at me for not taking a break. But the real boss, but no, mate. Looking forward to the break. Looking forward to it's been a busy year, it's been a good year, but equally looking forward to a bit of downtime. It's good this time of year, isn't it? Because no one else is working. It's not like taking a break during the year and you've got a million things going on when you're not at work. It's a time when you can sort of down tools properly. But looking forward to it. Staying here. We'll be in Delray with Claire and the dogs, and going to the local for a few pints, and that's about it, really. Yeah.
So I was saying to the guys the other day, yesterday, it feels like the longest year ever in terms of things being done, but the quickest year ever in terms of it's absolutely flown by.
It's one of them, isn't it? We're similar with regards to us. It seems like a long time ago since we got here, and then it doesn't. In another way, there's so much going on that it flies by. But then equally, it's like Christ. It's a bit of both, I suppose. A bit of both. But how have you guys been getting on then? You've had a good year, right?
It's been a good year in terms of results, but it's definitely been a year of change. In the way that we've almost reshaped what we do US wise. Got a lot of new people, in the most positive way. And new markets being built. So it's been a building year, but I think we're at that point now where we're really starting to see the results of a lot of graft for the last sort of 18 months come to play. Obviously next year should hopefully be a bit of an all-star year, hopefully. Mark my words.
Mate, you've got some killers in there in terms of like pound for pound, you like quality. There's not many teams, I think, where individually everyone's as strong as what you have there. You put a bit of an all-stars sort of dream team together there. So what's that been down to? How have you, over the past couple of years since you've sort of, started at Stott & May and you've started assembling this team, how have you done that? How have you sort of put so many strong people all in a room together, which is a hard thing to do?
Yeah, I think first and foremost we've been really purposeful in terms of what we wanted to, what we set out to do, and that was always how can we, our MO when I first came in and we talked about it was always, how can we build the best sales floor in New York? Not necessarily recruitment, but just get a really good buzz and also quality of person in this room, and then start building from there. And then a lot of it came down to, once you start making a few of those hires, right, and get a few A players in the room, then I've got to say a lot of it comes down to the team and the people, right? Because once they meet people like-minded and at the same sort of levels from a quality perspective, it becomes a bit of a no-brainer to join. But we've also obviously, like people like yourself, lean on heavily to attract and bring people to us. So yeah, that's been. I don't think there's been a magic. There's no sort of magic potion to getting there. I think it's just been being really brutally honest around, this is where we are, this is who we are, and do you want to go on the journey with us? We're not a finished article by any stretch of the imagination, but hopefully in 3 years' time you'll be around some really good people and have gone through a journey together. And I think and then the next part is just the culture, right? Is we have a pretty strict viewpoint in terms of what good looks like, and everyone backs it and tries to uphold it.
Well, you said obviously when you started there, like you were intentional about kind of like what you wanted to create, the culture, the sales environment, and all that sort of stuff. What did you do? Any examples of that, about what you did to kind of like, all right, let's create this. What's this vision? What's the culture? What is it? And then how are we going to communicate that to the rest of the market, which is going to attract people? What do you do?
I think it was at first it was a bit of a reset, right? In terms of what markets are we actually in, and what markets are going to exist in the next sort of 3 to 5 years that we can make actual road, runway in, right? And that was point one. Is we decided to almost strip out a lot of the stuff that we were doing at that time, right? And then go, these markets, for example, we think about tech, AI, software engineering, we weren't necessarily doing those markets, or we weren't doing those markets at all, right? So we put a plan together around, right, these are the areas we want to play in, and then phase two was the people, right, and who the best people in those markets that we can speak to, and then from then it was it was a bit of a, like I said, it was a bit more. I'd say it's more of a cultural thing than anything. It was we got everyone in a room together and just went, right, what is our non-negotiables as a group, and what do we want to start talking about and driving behaviour-wise, and then from then on it started to become a bit more of a self-accountability type world, as opposed to this is it. I think when you set expectations, something I learned from you, when I think expectation setting at the start really helps everything else in the future, right? So that's what we tried to do quite early on, and and I think the big thing has always been like there's always a lot of sacrifice right at the start, and everyone did that and still does. So it helps sort of drive the right behaviours for people coming into the business, and everyone feels a certain way about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm a big believer in it. Like when you're super clear about what the expectations are and what the standards are, and then you continually communicate that and reconfirm it almost, it should make it easier, shouldn't it? I mean, obviously we've only still got a small business, but I think that's where a lot of teams sometimes struggle, is the fact that what are the expectations, what are the standard, what does good look like, and then are we all accountable for upholding that individually, and the culture, you've got to add to the culture, you've got to add to that. You don't expect it just to happen to you and take from it. You have to all individually add to it and be accountable for that. So big believer in that, mate.
Massive. I think that's been the biggest thing for us, for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So you hired. So obviously you took over you started a brand new team, didn't you, within the business?
We basically started building up the new tech piece.
Yeah, right, okay. So you attracted a couple of people, and you mentioned there, obviously, some of the non-negotiables, like when you started hiring the team or whatever. Give us an insight into what they are.
The thing we always say, right, is just, and something that's stuck with us for a long time, is we have a no-dickheads rule, is the first thing that is said in most interviews here. And
That's an interesting point though, because like what obviously we know what a dickhead is, but what like we can define that. Is that ego? Is that
I think it's ego, and it's also like it's the ideology around no one's bigger than the team type of mentality, and I think the reason why it's so important to us is because, particularly as in a build, right? Obviously contract, perm, anything that you build it from the ground up takes a while, right? And I think the idea behind everyone understands that and gets it from a backing perspective, but also when you're going through that journey, obviously, as we all know, emotions can run high and low for periods of times, right? So it's just sort of standard setting around, it's gonna we know what the journey's gonna be like, but the reality is this: we're doing it for the right reasons, and this is who we are as a team, and the expectation is for you to look after everyone around you, not just to come in for your own self. That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So it's for the benefit of the business. It's not obviously we're all here individually, and we want to do well individually, but this is a collective. This is a group mission almost. Yeah,
exactly. And I think the other parts are really like behaviour led. I would say more than anything. For example, we talk about accountability a lot internally, right? And that accountability piece. We're a pretty flat business in terms of who we are and how we operate, right? And you said it earlier. Anyone that comes into the business needs to have a voice, right? And be able to feel comfortable to have that voice, and I think that's so important to us because for example, the people that we've some of our most recent hires who've just graduated have ideas and ways of working from an AI perspective that no one here has ever done, right? And it's genuinely changed how we work from sourcing strategies and other bits, right? So again, having that sort of environment where people can come in and speak freely and feel comfortable to do that is important to us. I think day to day, majority of us are in the office every day.
5 days.
Majority of us are 5 days. We've obviously got flexibility in certain cases.
Let them go for lunch.
Yeah, sometimes. But again, why I say that is because we made a purposeful move at the start of this year to make our New York office where we would hire people.
Physical.
And the reason being is nothing else apart from like you said, we've got the people here, and people need to learn from people, right? So we have the infrastructure to actually impact people day to day. And again, I know that's not necessarily everywhere that would that wants or needs to be in the office every day, but I think from a learning perspective, we want to be able to tell the story to a grad or a experienced hire or anyone that comes into this business and say, we're next to you every day, right? If you need something, we're here. That's our commitment to you, and the rest is is just the process of obviously being here. And then the little things, right? Like for example, how even down to how like our cleaner is our favourite person in the office, right? I think the way that you treat people outside of just the sales floor, and how we want to be known as a business to. We work people in our building, for example, right, based on our reputation as people, as opposed to our ability as recruiters, and that is also incredibly important to us from how we want to be seen and felt to the market.
That's an interesting point. I've always got on with the cleaner, wherever I've been. So wherever I've been, which maybe is probably like a lack of ego thing or whatever. The cleaner in our office in Miami, call him Felix Muchacho, but he's probably my favourite person I've met in Miami, and he speaks hardly a word of English. But he's such a legend. Marcus was drinking with him in the office the other night till late. He's just a wild guy, but the nicest guy ever. But he's absolutely right. It's, then it sort of speaks to your sort of lack of ego and your humility. Absolutely. that everyone's equal, and you speak to the CEO with the same respect that you would someone who cleans the business or cleans the office, or whatever. So you mentioned a good point there, actually, which it's worth just discussing. Obviously, you've got an in-office culture, high performance culture. Your physical location is in New York, but obviously Start and May did have, post-COVID, a very remote kind of business, really. West Coast, didn't had a physical location for a little while.
Yeah, we had a West Coast physical location and an East Coast, which was New York.
Yeah. So, and then Nashville, I believe, and
Nashville.
Something in Austin. So how has that been navigated? Because of course now you've got this kind of culture which is very much kind of in office, and it's like it's
Well, look, I mean,
but you're obviously navigating some remote folks as well since that's sort of changed. So how do you manage those two sort of, maybe not cultures, but ways of working?
Yeah, we still have a group of remote employees, right? And two of them are biggest performers, right? It's not. Yeah. They are very much a huge part of our business and always will be. I think the reality is our people that aren't here physically are people that we trust, a lot to deliver, and are very capable of doing that, right? Yeah. How we navigate that, though, is a really good point. And what we try to do the most is, at least every quarter we'll have a week together as a US business in office in New York normally. We obviously try to get together as much as we can for anything from a social perspective, all the rest of it. I think we have a lot of emphasis on keeping people involved in the conversation, and visibility to those people are really, really important. I think it's also down to the leaders here, right? They spend a lot of time and effort making sure everyone's got enough face time as a group, as teams, and it was definitely, I'm also not sat here saying it was easy. I think it was definitely a change for sure, but I feel like now we've got the right balance of having face time, everyone in together, everyone being together, as well as being able to drive an in-person office type of culture the majority of the time.
Interesting. Good stuff. We've talked all about the Start of May, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. But tell me a little bit about, obviously, how you started, where you started. What was your?
I'm not that interested, mate. To be honest.
Of course you are. The market wants to know all about you, mate. Do you know what I mean? They're not interested in Start of May. They're interested in the King of New York. That's who they want to know about. That's who they want to hear about. This is a life story as well as a commercial takeaway.
No. Fair. As you know, I'm proud. I'm a proud Northerner from Darlington.
Well, your accent wouldn't indicate that, but yeah.
I'm not going to get into that now. But I actually, this is the real story. So I started in London, and with my actual accent, I went down to London. My first ever job was at Hayes, and in my interview, he said, if you want this job, you've got to change the way you speak. So
was you like a proper like, oh, we're the lads and all that kind of,
I was proper Darla, back in the day.
Yeah, it's a Geordie accent, right?
It's like Geordie Mackem, I'd say. It's a blend.
A Geordie Mackem. What's the difference?
Well, it's in between, isn't it?
Is it? Right, okay. I just think it's all the same.
All you do is speak different from Darlington, surely you know.
Yeah, I know two people from Darlington. They both speak like they're from the south. So I wouldn't know, mate.
Sorry. But no, I started at Hayes, where I joined their finance tech team, and to be honest, I think I was very lucky looking back on it in terms of the team that I joined. I think I to this day still speak to everyone that I worked with at that point. Yeah, some of them, my old boss Tom, still one of the first people I'd speak to for advice and all that type of stuff. But it was predominantly, so that business was effectively a business that was bought into the Hayes Group and sort of sat alone as a finance tech business, and the majority of that business was contract.
Was it?
Where I went into a perm team, so I kind of learned the art of pace from a contract perspective, but trying to apply it into perm. It was absolutely useless my first year, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Didn't say a word to anyone, and tried to figure it out. But yeah, long story short, I was there for 5 years. over those 5 years, predominantly worked in the financial services market. At the end, did both finance and tech. It was kind of at that stage where like fintech was becoming a thing.
Right.
So I had a bit of a go at that. Again, how my success rate on that was different, but I thought I was good.
I mean, with regards, Hayes is a funny one. Like,
Yeah.
I've spoken to yourself and loads of other people that are like real strong, high performance, great people that have come from Hayes. We always had a perception that Hayes was like, a little bit, not a great business and a bit more like, volume recruiters and the real salespeople were, were other firms and and whatnot. What was it like culturally? There, and was there like, was it a real hardcore sort of sales business? And was there, like I said, I've spoken to plenty of great people that have been there, but there was a perception, when I was, at S3, like, oh, Hayes, they're like, high street or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Unfairly, I'm sure, but what was your sort of experience there in terms of that sort of sales culture and, and that sort of thing from when you were there?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like I said, I think I was quite lucky because I think at Hayes it also really depends on what market and team you are with to give you the experience that you kind of want. I think in general, if I had to, it's a very obviously, as you know, it's a very methodical business, right? The L&D piece of it is, as tight as it gets.
Yeah.
You go through all classroom type training that you can possibly think of in all the best ways possible, right? I think from a culture perspective, when I first started, I was quite lucky, is how I'd put it. I worked with some really good leaders who were quite aggressive, but again, in the best ways possible, not necessarily in the worst. But the culture was high performance in the sense of you had to do deals or kind of what were you doing there type of situation.
Well, not wrong with that.
And I think that expectation actually really helped, and maybe that's the misconception of Hayes, is that, to be fair, there's an expectation to deliver. What that bar looks like is different maybe elsewhere, clearly. But
fair enough.
I had a really good experience there. Like I said, I feel like I was also quite lucky that I worked with
the right
people
team
that were very good. So yeah, that would be my.
I interviewed there when I was like 25 years ago when I was getting into recruitment, and I interviewed at Hayes, but it was on the construction side or something, or something like that in Manchester, and my thing when I was interviewing was like my go-to question was, what's your top guy earn, or girl, but what's your top person earn? Because that for me was a barometer. That was the only reason I was looking to get into recruitment. I've been doing commission-only sales for a while, and I'd heard you can earn decent money in recruitment. So my first question was, how much does your top person earn? That would indicate whether or not I want to join here, because I'll just sit next to your top person and do what they do, and I'll probably earn similar type money. And I was going around to S3 and whatnot, and they were pulling out 100k checks all over the place or whatever, and Hayes was like 35 grand. I was like, you're not for me type thing. But that was, I'm sure, the team, probably, that market or whatever in Manchester and, whatever else. So yeah, okay.
That's a good point, though, to be fair. But, it's so team dependent, right? But I think I get the quality of recruiter there in terms of the people I work with. Like I said, is I still speak to the majority of them to this day, right?
Well, one is on your team now, right? George,
yes. Well, I never actually worked with George at Hayes, but my old boss Tom, he worked with George. So yeah. I mean, again, you get the reference points and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and obviously Laura. And,
Laura and I worked together. Yeah.
Laura and George and yourself, and some great people. So fair enough. So you was there, and then what happened?
Well, and then you called me, took me to America, and then
you can run but you can't hide.
And then so I joined Fagan.
Why New York?
To be honest, I think I never had a desire to move to New York or the US. I was in London, and because my nature and my market was finance, I'd always ask people, like, where's the best place to learn, or what's the hardest thing to do in terms of from a career perspective. Everyone always said New York. I was actually at that point, there was an opportunity with Hayes to move to New York, but it was COVID time. So I was in process to do that, and then obviously the world came to a pause for a long time.
August, wasn't it? 2020 that I spoke to you.
Yeah. So pre that, I'd basically committed to moving with Hayes to help from a tech perspective in New York. But yeah, so then it was in my head at that point, and then I just wanted to learn, to be honest, and challenge more than anything. Or have a challenge, I should say, not challenge. And then, obviously, so I was with Faden for 3 years. The sell and the excitement for me to join them was the tech business was a lot smaller than their other brands, and it felt like quite a good place to make an impact, and a good challenge to have. The job there at the start was building out the AI practice that didn't exist necessarily. So we grew that team to about 20 people in 2 years. That team ended up being a big part of the New York office, and then helped scale the wider tech brand over the US. And then I came here.
How'd you like New York when you first moved there? Did you love it?
I didn't love it, and the reason why I didn't love it is because I moved in the middle of COVID. So there wasn't much to do apart from go to one bar that was opposite my apartment. I think New York's a journey, right? You have to commit to a couple of years and start knowing the place and knowing your people and all the rest of it. But I absolutely adore it now. I think it feels like home now more than anywhere, I'd say.
A lot of people say this about New York, that they move to New York and then the first 6 months they don't really like it that much, or maybe even longer, and then they end up, loving it and everything else. But the first 6 months they don't always like it, and they think they've made the wrong decision. I've actually spoken to people that have done that, and they've turned up, not liked it, and turned around and gone home. So what do you think that's due to? Is it just due to like a social? Because you don't expect the social interaction to be really strong there, and be able to meet people and integrate quite quickly, and and all that kind of thing. But what do you think that's due to? I mean, obviously your experience was during COVID, so it was different than most. But
I think New York can be the greatest city in the world and also the loneliest place in the world at the same time. And also, when you move out here, when you move anywhere, as you know, right? Like adult dating for friends is a strange concept, right? Because you don't necessarily have to do that in the UK. No, and weird, I think there's an element of you've got to put yourself out there to make money. Some of my best mates were literally watching England and hearing out for an accent and hoping that we'd get on. And that's like you would never do that at home in the same light. So I think it comes down to that. I think it's a tough place to do well, in the sense of you really have to be on your A game, right? And also commit to the journey. Like I said at the start, right? There's an element of your first 6 to 12 months is probably going to be your toughest 6 to 12 months from a career perspective, performance perspective, for a lot of reasons, right? You move into a new country, it's a busy, expensive city to be in, which again is a cultural shock to most people. You're expected to do a lot from a personal standpoint, trying to be out there, make mates, all the rest of it, whilst juggling, trying to crack whatever you're trying to do, right? So I think there's amalgamation of things, but also I'd imagine I'd be interested to get your viewpoint on it. Moving to Miami, I'd imagine similar types of.
It's similar. I mean, you sort of. I mean, obviously, I've come out with my wife. So it's a little bit different. I'm a little bit older as well, so I'm not on. I'm not come out single, late 20s, early 30s. Going out drinking. All day or whatever. So slightly different time of life. But it's kind of the same. You're out here on your own. You're trying to sort of integrate a little bit socially, and that sort of thing. You gravitate towards the Brits, obviously. But it is a little bit strange, at first, I think. And you are out your comfort zone a little bit. I think it's a little bit easier for men than it is for women. But I think it's a little bit easier to like you say, go to the pub, plug into certain groups or whatever, and when the sport's on or whatever it is. So I think sometimes it's a little bit harder for women, but yeah, it's you're out your comfort zone, aren't you? And I've said this a few times. Like, I think when you do an international move, and certainly when you try and grow a business internationally, you seem to be always out of your comfort zone. You never. It's like you're constantly doing new things, and you're just giving things a go, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's where the excitement is, and that's where the interest is, and that's where the adventure is, and and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what I wanted when I was wanting to move from the UK. Like, I don't want to be just doing the same thing, forever, and then look back and think, I should have given that a go, and I should have tried that, and and all that kind of stuff. So New York, we were talking about, and we were talking about obviously the integration, socially, and and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's just one of them. I mean, I do joke all the time that you obviously gravitate towards Brits, don't you? When you come out here, sort of. And that's just you do. Yeah, Northerners especially, but there's not many of them, so you got to get what you can get type thing. You take what you can get. But with regards to gravitating towards Brits, you find yourself a bit more flexible on because people are Brits. Like I'm like, would I be friends with this person back home, and would I give this person time of day? And you give people more leeway because they're British, whereas back home you probably wouldn't in truth. So but then it's probably over time you start like, okay, they're probably not the kind of people I want to be hanging about with, and you kind of find your people sort of thing. But then equally, I'm always like, as I said before, a little bit older, so like, how often do I see my friends back home? Not as much as I used to. Every few months, really. That type of thing. So how many friends do I need? So,
I also think I think bringing that back to here, I think that's one thing. We've obviously had, as you know, we've got quite a big expat community or expat team in New York, and people feeling or having a bit, being able to come into a group of people that are there from day one has definitely helped. But I would always say, right, like we've had some really good examples this year of people moving from internally from Stockton May from our Reading to New York office, and he's had a blinding year. He's at his best year in recruitment. And I just think I always think if there's an opportunity for anyone to do something that's risky, and even for however long they're able to do it for, there's always an upside, right? Is my viewpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's crazy, really, particularly now in this sort of point in the market, or point in the industry, or whatever you want to call it, where people from the UK can get sponsored, get out to the US. I mean, there's not many other markets that can support that. First of all, and there's never been more opportunity to be able to do it. I mean, when I got into recruitment, it wasn't a thing. S3 set up a New York office, and I think it was in 2004, 2005, and it just wasn't. It was like, oh right, okay, it was like another universe. You know what I mean? It was like, like that's just not possible. And then obviously as time's gone on, there's been more and more, physical launches and companies moving out there and whatever. And now it's like, you can move to almost any major city in the US. If you're a competent recruiter, pretty much in the UK, which is wild, really. And you can be out here in 8 weeks.
100%.
It's wild. You'd obviously want to be in South Florida rather than New York. Obviously,
you're scared of New York, so that's
scared of New York. What are you talking about? I'm scared of the taxes. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of the taxes. I'm scared of the cost of living. Paying $5,000 a month for a shoebox or whatever.
We're selling New York, remember?
Eh?
We're selling New York in this one, remember?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, good point. Yeah, do you know what? As a younger man, I'm 48 now, but as a younger man, I was in love with New York. Wanted to move to New York. The pace of it, the energy of it, everything about it being like, that's where killers are. That's where the energy is. That's where the pace is. That's where the world's highest performing people are. That's where the money is. you know, all of it. I was well up for it, and it's only as I got older, it was like, okay, I think I just want the sunshine and all that kind of stuff. But I would argue that if I was late 20s, if I'd probably want to be there still. In truth, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm a huge New York advocate, ambassador. I think it's just like, as my, you know, time of life. I think it'd be one of them where I'd be you know, if I'd have moved there when I was late 20s, early 30s, I'd have moved to New York, loved it for 5, 6, 7 years. Then I'd want more space, and I'd probably want to be down here or, you know, wherever sort of thing. But I think as a, you know, in terms of, you know, people taking the next step in their career that might be in the UK or whatever, then you know, getting that New York experience is, you know, makes perfect sense. You might end up wanting to be down here or I don't know, wherever, but yeah, it's I love it. I used to go every year, sometimes twice a year for years. I've not been since 2019, and now I'm as close as I've ever been to it. Only 2 hours on the plane.
You've got an overdue trip next year, haven't you?
Yeah. I'll be there next year. I'll be there. We'll be there next year at some point, probably the first quarter. Actually, we've just booked to go on the SAA conference in Austin. Yeah, we've just got the tickets. Yeah, late March. Would you be going to that? Is that something that you guys are involved with, the SAA?
We haven't, to be fair. We have never been involved, but something that's I've always loved. Well, I've always looked at it, to be fair.
Yeah, Exec Forum. That's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every year that people go to. It's normally in Miami, funnily enough. And
I remember you saying.
We've chosen.
Last year, right? Or this
year?
Year?
Yeah, I didn't go. I went. Yeah, it was at the Fontainebleau, and I went to go and meet a couple of people there and whatever. But I didn't actually get a ticket and go. But we will. From next year, apparently, it's back in Miami. But not been to Austin yet, so we need to go there and, you know, see some clients and whatever anyway, as well as do that. So. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Sorry, I forgot what we were originally talking about. So, New York. So, obviously, yeah, socially. So, yeah, you've got a big social network there now, right? Across all sorts. Get football teams. This is the other thing about New York. It's the size of the expat community. It's huge.
It's huge.
It's not so big.
Recruitment as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's, and I think that's it's also one of the greatest things about the industry in New York. I would say is, you know, naturally, like as you say. You gravitate towards expats anyway, and then there's an element of you then gravitate towards recruiters because there's so many of them here.
I know, yeah.
But it also
like-minded people.
Exactly, and it helps you. It helps you really get a really good viewpoint of the market, and you learn so much by just being around people that are doing similar things to you, right? And I think that's the beauty of here as well, is that you have access to, so if you want to, again, it's all up to really how much you put yourself out there, but there are so many people doing similar things, and the learning ability and being able to bounce off ideas and all the rest of it, I think is so much more important than ever now as well, because someone there's always something to learn off someone.
100%. But you all drink in the same pub in Williamsburg, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So.
And live in the same building.
Yeah, if you go to Williamsburg, you're basically in Little England.
Recruitment, is it right? It's recruitment central, isn't it? You all live in Williamsburg and hang about in the same boozers. So yeah.
Move to New York, that's what happened.
Yeah, mate. But yeah. There's like that's the thing about New York is the size of the expat community is crazy. It's obviously not as big down here. It's there's plenty around, but anyway, all good, mate. So obviously Faden then. So you grew that.
Yeah.
You've always seen 2 or 3 offices for one of the brands.
I did spend a lot of time in, obviously New York predominantly, but LA, Dallas. We had a contracts offering for tech, which I was helping out with at one point as well. And then I think at peak we were about 80 people in the US across 3 offices. But again, the majority of that was New York centric.
Yeah, nice.
From a tech perspective anyway, and then after that the next move was here 2 years ago.
Nice, right. So you started, obviously, as we talked about before, referenced, you built this new team, hired some killers, you hire 1 or 2 killers, a couple more killers what will come along, and before you know it, you've got a self-perpetuating sort of thing, whereby of course they're joining, I'm sure, for you in the strategy and the vision and everything else, but they're joining for the other people that they're going to be working with.
They're joining for the team, not me. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. only joking, mate. No, of course it's you that sets the standard, sets the vision, the mission, and all that sort of stuff, and then push that through in terms of, making that clear.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's the other people they're going to be working with and the culture they're going to be sort of joining and everything else. So obviously you started doing that. You grew that team to what size?
In mate. So
yeah. So you grew that team. You hired George and some of the other guys.
So George runs our software engineering team. Andy Burgess runs our AI business, and then Samuel came on to build a brand new contract world. Surrounded by AI and data, and then that business was about 6 people. That team was about 6 people, both perm and contract, and then that was the inflection point where Laura moved into the CEO role, and then I moved into the US role, and that then included our sort of energy brand, which was our Evergreen Talent Partners brand. 2 guys, Jack and Charlie, who have both been in the game for 10 years plus and really well veteraned people in their markets. Our top biller for the last 6 years, Jack, moved over to help the contract growth. That's one of our priorities over the next 5 years. So he runs that. We hired Harvey from Bristol, as you know. He to run our go-to-market practice, and then Paris, who's our global HR manager, came over last year as well to run our business services function. And that's the leadership team. And
nice.
Yeah, I think again, it's all I think the interesting part, and I think the biggest sell really at that point of hiring was always everyone's doing the same thing, right? And they're all building from zero to an extent to where we are now. And I think now our sell really is we've obviously got a leadership team. We've got some really high performers, like I mentioned. Outside of that, anyway, from an IC perspective, we've built those teams to a decent size in New York now from a number perspective. But the thing that's consistent is everyone's still doing the job, right? And everyone's hands on, and I think that's a rare environment sometimes to be in. And we're still getting started, really, I would say, in terms of the build. And
nice.
when we speak to people, that's what we say to them, right? Is you get to sit next to someone who, to your point right at the start, unless sitting next to someone who does well, all our time and energy is spent with our people. Really, that's the center of our kind of MO.
Nice. And how do you find hiring? Obviously a lot of people look at New York, and go, that's where the talent is. That's where the talent pool is. That's where, compared to maybe Miami, Austin, some of these other areas, you've got to be in New York. Look, you've got to suck it up a little bit with the cost in terms of being there, commercially and everything else. But that's where the talent pool is. So how easy or hard is it to hire in New York, would you say, in terms of like top experienced talent?
I think it's a lot harder than people think, I would say, from my experience. And what I mean by that is, I think there is a huge amount of work before you make a senior hire, and I'm talking, it could be a year, it could be 2 years of conversation to then, unless you've got a job clearly that you're trying to fill, right? That's the network piece for me has always been the thing that's helped us win. And now we're in a bit of a different scenario, right, where we've got some really good people that people want to work with and alongside, right? But it's it's an expensive place, right, as everyone knows. So you need to make the right hires. Which thankfully, long may that continue. But I think there's definitely there's a dense talent pool in New York, right, for really, really good people. And again, being pragmatic around it, right? If you we've got, like I said, our contract business, so one of our biggest parts of what we do in the US, and you've got to be quite pragmatic around how long that's going to take and what that's going to be from a journey perspective, both internally and externally, and be prepared to do that without having an unrealistic expectation is also just as important.
Yeah. So you would say network, play the long game. Of course, use your people. Obviously, your people are great people. Great people want to work with great people. People want to follow them.
Yeah. I think also just being brutally honest, right? Around we really don't try to sell to people, right? Like that's not that's I think giving people a really clear idea of what they're walking into and what it's going to look like is just as powerful as trying to be the best player in the market, right? There is I think that stuff becomes organic when you have a story to tell, but a lot of the guys took a punt right at the start, to be honest, in some capacity, and trusted us based on obviously, we've got a really really strong setup from the Startmate brand's been in the US for 10 years, right? It's a brand that's been here and has existed here for a long time. We've got an incredible amount of investment from a enablement, recruitment tech, all the rest of it, all the tools and reputations there, but building a new market is still building a new market. And 80% of that's going to be on the person that does it.
Do you know what I think, which is what I know you do? It's definitely something that who I am, and and what we get feedback from the rest of the market, what people really appreciate, even if it's not good news, is just authenticity.
Yeah,
when
great.
you're straight with people about what your problems are, what your challenges are, who you are, where you're at, what the opportunity looks like, good and bad, people love it. People love it, but what they don't love is where it's like sold a certain way, positioned a certain way. They start, and it's a completely different situation than how it was portrayed, at interview stage. So I mean, although we've only got 2 guys at the moment, but I've been very straight up about challenges and mistakes I may have made, in the past, and and everything else, which always seems to land well. And it's the feedback that we get from the market elsewhere when people have interviewed and said, look, this guy was really very honest about kind of where the gaps are, where the challenges are, and all that stuff. And it's fine. The bad news is cool, but people don't want to be shielded from it, sort of thing. So how hard the thing is, or what it is, or what what needs to be done, and if you're up for it, great. If you're not, that's cool. But that's what it is, and people love it.
Yeah, and I think also it just builds trust immediately, doesn't it? Because you've got a level of understanding that I know exactly what I'm walking into. And I think authentic leadership in particular, and I think you do really well. And, even from brand perspective is so important, right? Because people want to work for good people, right? When I say good people, I mean more so honest.
Straight, honest. You know where you stand.
People,
you'll always be, you'll always be fair. You'll always be transparent. You'll always tell me what's what, and you won't keep. You know what I mean? It's totally fine. Because things happen, don't they? You know what I mean? And as long as people are aware of them, it's cool. But that's what we get. Fair enough. Sounds good, mate. So what's the state of play currently? You've got some wild per head numbers at the moment. So walk us through. I mean, do you want to walk us through the wild numbers that you guys are achieving at the moment and where that's headed, even though it's only the start?
Yeah. Well, I think. I mean, our vision over the next 3 years is 3x from a revenue perspective in the US, right? And that starts from this year or next year. In terms of how this year's gone, this will be our biggest year as a US business, a US entity at Start May, which is great. We broke our record in October of this year, so we've got obviously November and December to push that. Like I said, the last sort of 18 months has been the build, so I think we really started to kick in sort of Q3 this year. And our per head, we were averaging about 62k per head in August and September, and then our trailing sort of 6 months is about 58k per head. Again,
700k per head, trending,
which is great, and that's the kind of the barometer that we've set, but also quite pragmatic around the next phase is it would be amazing if we continue doing that. And add loads of heads.
The contract growth, your contract growth is mental. Yeah.
Well, I mean, our contract team is really good, right, in terms of the quality of person there. And again, it's a huge investment area for us over the next 3 years. we've grown just shy of 40% this year from Jan. We've had some amazing performances in that. I think October was our best ever true actual in the US from a lifetime perspective, and that's existed from day dot. We've got some serious players in terms of people there. Our Salesforce business, as an example, their average weekly is 20k ahead.
Anna Higgins.
Anna Higgins, yeah, she's broke every contract record humanly possible this year. So, I think as a collective, that contract team is a really strong unit. And the next phase now is really around how do we build on it and get some other good people to, not just good people. We've just made some hires that start in January at a more junior level, which we're excited about.
Nice.
As we know, we've got another brand, our sort of Make Consulting brand, which is more sort of shared risk, statement of work type of
consulting,
type of work, which again has been quite influential this year for us. So yeah, there's loads of exciting things there. Jack's amazing in terms of both from a career perspective and as a person, as you know, Sam and all those guys, and being able to work alongside someone like Anna would be a dream for anyone, right? Coming into the world of contract recruitment. So
that's it. I mean, again, sort of recircling back to the point from earlier. Great people want to work with great people. When you've got performances like that, it just attracts that. People want to be around high performance. That's who they want to be around. Not a business where there's one or two standout performances, but the rest of them are a bit of a C players or whatever, and then you've got a bit of a churn at the bottom third. They want to be around this is a real crack team of real high performance people that are not only they're producing best evers, or they're right at the top of the game type thing. So exciting, mate. And obviously it's just been the start. So what would you say you want 3x where you are now?
3x where we are now from a revenue perspective and profitability perspective over the next 3 years. So that doesn't necessarily mean headcount growth of 3x, but clearly it's going to be quite a sizable amount. We're probably we're looking to grow by about anywhere between 10 to 20 heads from a sales perspective next year.
Right, it's quite a lot.
Bulk out some of the teams. Now that we're at the stage where our road to first deal this year in the second half has been just shy of 6 weeks. So we've got a platform where people can come in and get there pretty quickly, and that's based on the really good work that the guys have put in building their markets, and also giving someone a platform to go here you go, right? We've had some really positive wins there. So we're at the stage now where really we can say to someone and take them on that journey and go, right, this is what 3 years looks like, this is what earnings looks like, this is what your career can look like, and career development for us is really important, as you know. We've got external leadership training, we've got internal bits that are coming up next year. So it's exciting. It's exciting, mate. But there's still lots of work to be done. I think the next sort of couple of years is going to be really doubling down. We've set our markets out, and the reasons why we set those markets out from a tech perspective, from an energy and infrastructure perspective, and obviously contract, is because we believe they're going to be consistent over the next 4 to 5 years, right? So we haven't got to rewind anything that we've spent the last 18 months doing.
I know what you mean. When you build it. I've been talking about it internally recently, like doing a lot of front load work when you sort of operationally getting everything sound, and you sort of building training, you're refining training, but kind of when it's done, and the market position's right, it's sort of the direction of travel is correct, but you have to do a lot of that front load sort of work. But when you have it and it's set, it's a bit easier to layer on great people on top of that, isn't it, rather than kind of working it out as you go along type thing, and kind of trying to change strategy and all that sort of stuff. Once it's done to a degree. Of course you're going to refine, improve, evolve, and all that kind of stuff, but no, it sounds like you've got a great platform for growth with you at the helm, mate, leading the charge. Exciting times. Good stuff, mate.
It's really exciting, mate, and I think we're definitely now at the other end of the build to an extent, and now it's all about how can we really drive as quick as we can and as in a sensible manner, not in a not in a not in a. I think the one thing that will always be consistent with us is we'll never try be a vanity business from a hiring and or anything else perspective, and as long as that quality of person in the room is still consistent in terms of being a good person, and also their expectation to what good looks like from a the work side of it is the one.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. Love it. Obviously, it's like the you hear it so much, don't you? We obviously hear it a lot, and it's no bad thing, seeing as the market that we're in. But it's it's headcount growth, and you rarely hear about revenue per head being the driver. I think the market's changed a little bit, and you can leverage tech a lot better than what you used to be able to. You can really position yourself as a quality over quantity and really drive out revenue per head. There's a better opportunity to be able to do that now more than ever, whereas it's always been about just layering more people, and you know what I mean, and then before you know it, you've got a team of 100 people or a business of 100 people or whatever, and you've got very few that are moving the needle in truth. But revenue per head being the driver and not being a slave to a headcount number. But again, links back to ego.
And also you make a really good point there around tech, right? I think there's we're by no means AI native as a recruitment business, right? But I think we definitely talk about it as much as we can and try to implement and move with the world as we're able to. And again, I think it would be interesting to get your viewpoint on it. The recruitment industry will definitely be impacted by AI in some way. What those tasks and what that looks like, I'm not necessarily there or know what the answer is, but it'd be interesting to get your viewpoint in terms of what you think around how that's going to change.
Big time. I mean, it's something that we're looking at the moment. Again, don't want to keep saying the same thing, but we are quite small. But we are trying to operationally get as strong as possible, so it's easier to be able to layer on more people. But it's something we're doing at the moment. We're speaking to some external firms and AI folk that can sort of look at our business, from a helicopter view, explain all our workflows and systems and processes, and seeing what can be automated that we do, which is manual, to be able to get us in the room quicker and have conversations and the ability to influence, which is what we do, obviously, rather than time drains of time, and whatever. So, it's something that we're only just starting on that journey, but it's something that I think we're reasonably progressive in terms of tech adoption, I suppose. Got a lot of tools and different things, but maybe we've got too many, I don't know, which is why we want that sort of evaluation. But we're going to try and integrate AI into our business as much as we can. I think that generally speaking, the recruitment industry is a little slow on that kind of stuff, and they tend to go with what everyone else does, in terms of the same kind of tools and and everything else. But I do believe that the good thing about smaller, more agile businesses is that you can adopt different things and bring them into the business quite quickly, whereas Hayes, for example, or somewhere a bigger corporate, that's a huge thing. You can't just change. You can't integrate tools quickly. You can't do AI adoption into the business quickly. That's a huge multi-million-dollar exercise. You can start with a little group and then expand it out and all the rest of it. But it's probably, I know some people that are still looking at bringing in Sourcewell or something. You know what I mean? And that's a great tool, obviously. But I think a lot of businesses are quite slow, and I'm more of a believer in the fact that a lot of the sort of smaller businesses are going to be able, that are a little bit more agile, that can adopt things quicker and faster, with more experienced, high performance talent, are actually going to run, fly away with it over the next few years. That's my sort of in terms of a revenue per head thing.
I agree.
Obviously, the bigger businesses, obviously, they've got it's a different thing. Whereas, you know what I mean. So I know it's a multi-layered question, but I haven't really answered it, but that's what I think.
No, I get it. I think the more people talk about it, and again, it comes down to perspectives, right? And like I mentioned earlier, some of the people that have joined us know AI so much better than we ever will and would have otherwise, right? And that's the greatest. I think that's one of the greatest things over the last sort of 6 to 12 months of this generation of hire are quite, you know, AI native to an extent and can teach and show us things that we didn't know, right? And, and then obviously from a commercial perspective, use that properly. And also, you know, we're quite lucky that we spend a lot of time in the AI market, so you know. Yeah. We get some sort of insight. Nothing exciting to share yet, but
it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I've been speaking to some people this week. It's hard to be able to like take a step away from what it is that you're doing to like day to day, like what you're doing, what I'm doing. It's hard to take a step away and start thinking about like, right, what integrates with this and what can we automate here and what can we automate there, and you need fresh eyes to come in and
100%,
get the advice a little bit, I think. But I mean, there's some wild stuff that this stuff does now. So, you know, even, you know, sourcing and saving profiles and, you know, all the stuff that takes a recruiter time, like how can that all be automated? And, you know, anyway. So yeah, it's a big question, but it's I think it will affect the industry for the smaller businesses that can gobble up some market share as a result of them being faster, stronger, and more efficient. That's probably my position on it. So, all right, fair enough, mate. So, sounds good. All right, well, let's wrap it up then. What's your plan over Christmas, mate? Have you got anyone coming round to yours? Are you going? Have you got like a big expat?
There's actually no plan. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Christmas is next week. But
should do in New York, shouldn't it? It'll be a lot more Christmassy there than it is down here.
It is, to be fair. It's been snowing for the last couple of weeks, so there's Christmas vibes out and about, but no actual plan yet. Well, I'm sure there'll be a...
You haven't got a Christmas Day plan?
I'm just living life on the edge this year.
Wow.
See what happens.
That is wild. Right. I'm sure you've got some, you know, you've got a big expat.
There's a few people here, so I'm sure it'll be a good time regardless.
Yeah. You normally do some cooking, don't you? I think you had... did you have a turkey on the go on Thanksgiving?
I did a turkey, but I did the pork. What did I do? I don't know. I never know how to say pork. Is it porchetta or porchetta?
No idea.
Whatever that is.
No, ask it me. No clue.
Are you the cook? Are you the cook of Christmas, or are you going out?
No, Christ, I can't do any cooking. No, none whatsoever. We're going around to our friends. The guy who owns the boxing gym in Delray. We're going around to his house.
Nice.
Yeah, I was there this morning actually. Well, I wasn't at his house this morning. I was at the gym this morning. But yeah, we're going around there.
A bit of a gym plug.
Yeah. Phoenix Boxing Gym.
You're looking good.
Red Beach. He's a proper Cockney. It's funny this actually. He's a proper Cockney. Like he's been here 30 years. He's the most Cockney man you'll ever meet. I said, "Oh, who's coming round?" Claire's doing the prawn cocktails for the starters. So I said, "Oh, you know how many's coming round?" Claire needs to know. He said, "Yeah." So I can't do a Cockney accent, but he said, "Yeah, we've got Joe the Gangster, we've got Merv the Swerve, we've got Monkey Harris." I was like, "This sounds like the cast of Lock, Stock." I was like, "What's their actual names?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what does he call you?
Say again?
What does he call you?
He calls me James.
James?
He calls me James. He has a nickname for everyone.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Hamhead. I was like, what?
Oh, Hamhead. Well, yeah, he might call me that maybe as well, but James. Because obviously Miami, and for some reason he thinks I've got a Hispanic look, which I don't think I have, but there you go. But right, so all right, mate. Right, we'll wrap it up then. Good to see you as always, mate, and to your continued success and all the best. And speak soon.
Thanks, mate. Speak soon.
All right, mate.